Mimi bado siongeangi Kizungu Alex. Unajua sijui Kizungu.
We are live. Anyway, for whoever who is joining us currently, thank you so much for joining this conversation. My name is Alex Oburu. I'll be your host for tonight, and we'll be speaking about men's mental health. This is, how probably like how can Gen Zs be able to spot, identify, and even get on with seeking for help when it comes to mental health. And welcome to tonight's conversation on mental health. And probably this is a topic that has long been buried in silence, in shame, and societal pressure. While mental health conversations are growing globally, men remain on the sidelines of this conversation, especially in Kenya, in a society where masculinity is often, basically defined by control, by endurance, by emotional restraint. Many men suppress their feelings, and today in this wonderful conversation, I'm joined by panelists who will be speaking about their different, experience when it comes to this matter of mental health, and we'll get to know them. Without much further ado, I'd love to give chance to every single person in 1 minute or so. Kindly introduce yourself, tell us what you do, then we'll get started with the conversation. To the first person to start this conversation, I'd like to take it to James Minor. Please, if you can introduce yourself, then decide whoever will go after you. I'm giving you that chance for the first time as the host.
Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be in this conversation. I think it's my it's not I think it's my first conversation to be on live. So I'll try my best to be to to, to, to participate in this. So my name is James, an entrepreneur in ICT field. And yeah, I look forward to engage with the Gen Z. Myself, I'm not a Gen Z. I'm actually a millennial, but I would love to be as let's just normalize. I've not planned in any way, but I just want it to be natural and just a natural vibe, so that we can just engage with the Gen Zs. Thank you.
I think the next person online is
Okay.
yeah, I hope I didn't butcher your name. Peggy Branham, the next panelist, and I'm sure that this is a Gen Z, so probably we're looking forward to your introduction. What do you do? Why are you even here today?
Okay, thank you so much, Alex Oburu, James Miner as well. As earlier introduced, my name is Hegi Jamoma Branham. I'm a youth advocate, an SRHR activist, as well as a women empowerment activist, with the mission of ending GBV and FGM, particularly in Africa. And I'm also a CSA rover. We deal with the adolescent girl and as well as the adolescent boy. With me today, yes, I'm a Gen Z, as Alex said, and I'm here to represent at least the Gen Z so that we can tell you what we also view when it comes to the mental health. Because what my earlier panelist said, James Miner, he's a millennial, so his view on mental health is totally different on our view of mental health. And I'm very, very honored and glad to be here and ask as many questions as you can. And I'm sure this is going to be amazing. Thank you so much. Alex, back to you.
Thank you so much for that. Quite a wonderful introduction. When it comes to a lot of people, they introduce themselves. We don't have missions. And you're here setting about this is my mission, this is what I want to do. Remarkable. Let's push the button to Kennedy Washira, who has just joined us. Exactly, Kennedy, if you can hear me, use the next minute or so to introduce yourself and exactly tell us what do you do and why are you even joining this conversation today. Kennedy? Yeah, probably. Well expected technical challenges here and there. So yeah, Kennedy just left. But exactly when he comes back, we'll be able to even give him a chance to introduce himself. So just to get us into the conversation, as we said earlier on, when it comes to mental health and particularly men's mental health, a lot has been said. Endurance. If I can quote a bit of word wanasemanga, wewe ni mwanaume, you should be able to take it, handle it. But when do we know that here you're supposed to seek for help? How do you even identify that and all those different conversations? But just to get us started, I want to take you back to when you were a single child, or probably when you were a small child, and ask you this one question. Starting with you, James Maina, of course, what is that one thing you wish your younger self would have been told about mental health? Because there's a lot going on in comes to mental health, but basically, you as a person, what is that one thing that ungeambiwa probably when you were a younger person, you would have, had a much better experience than whatever you're having currently now?
Sincerely speaking, I would say my understanding of mental health, though with time I've come to understand it, is that back then when you used to, if you had an issue of anything to do with mental, you will say that you'll equate it to madness. Actually, that's the thing that we grew knowing. If somebody had some mental issue, maybe uh, I will put it that they are going bananas or they are going crazy. But with time, I've realized that mental health, like a situation like yesterday, it's not like a disease. It's something that it's so natural and it can happen to any person. I assume like yesterday, the kills that happened, there is somebody who has never had any mental issue. And the work of today's morning when he goes to his business or to his work, you realize that he's starting from scratch. That is when you realize that the mental issues, the depressions is now a real thing. Vis-a-vis how you used to understand the mental issues of being mad or being sick, a point you are taken to hospital. It's something that it just builds up and it can happen to any person. So, but with time, it's changing and I'm still understanding. Actually, I look forward to even to listen to the Gen Z's, their perception of what mental health is to them.
Thank you so much for that. Branhan, I think I'll be having a very hard time, mentioning your name. But just before we go to you, Washira has just joined us, and he was having a bit of technical challenges here and there. Washira, if you can just give you like 30 seconds to 1 minute, you can tell us exactly why you are joining this conversation today. Who's Kennedy Washira, and exactly what do you also do? Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Alex, and my fellow speakers, James and Rahan. Yeah, my name is Kennedy Washira. I work with, professionally, I am a multidisciplinary designer, and we work with an organization called NairoBits, which, of course, you're watching this stream from, as the Innovation and Technology Program Manager. But that's aside, I think the reason why I'm here is because I'm a Gen Z. And today the conversation is being led by Gen Zs, and to get the take on how we view matters, mental health, especially when it comes to men. And hoping for a very engaging and informative conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Kennedy, for that. Branham, because I think Heidi would probably, I don't want to butcher that name. But a very different question to you. After just James speaking, and you can see, exactly what is actually mental health coming out as a very strong question. And as we said earlier on, we want this conversation to be as natural as possible. If you can just have it from you, what exactly is mental health? In a very simple term, like exactly in a layman's language, how can we describe mental health?
Okay. Thank you so much, Alex. As James said, that's from the millennium view. Well, from the Gen Z view, or rather from the young generation view, is that mental health is basically ensuring that your emotional intelligence, as well as you can express yourself when it comes to the challenges that you're facing. Now, from the question that you asked him earlier on, like what's this one young thing that we wish that we could have been told earlier, because you'll find that people like James, kindly allow me to mix both languages, nisikuwe so official because of the Gen Zs. So if you check people like Ina James, like the society has shaped them like to endure rather than to express. So the society has told them, you know what, you are going through financial constraints, right? You are supposed to do what? Endure that. You are going through heartbreaks. You are supposed to do what? Endure that. You are going through maybe some stigma, childhood trauma and stigmatization. You are supposed to do what? You are supposed to endure that. But the different aspect now from the gens is on mental health is that we believe that now we are supposed to like express ourselves, okay? And we are kind of privileged because we are born into the system whereby we have got the online platforms as well as the media, which has really played a crucial role in advocating for the mental health, for example. Now, we've got various platforms such as the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, whereby we have used very many hashtags as well as quotes to advocate for the mental health. And that is why somehow we tend to be misinterpreted by the other generations. Why? Because we have been brought to express ourselves and to express our emotions. So other people might kind of misinterpret us and they might say that, oh, we are violent, mother, we are misplaced, something like that. And now, when it comes to mental health, our view is that it is all about expressing our emotions, expressing who we are, and not enduring what you're supposed to be. We're supposed to express them. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much for that. As we also, demystify the enduring culture, and I thank you so much, Peggy, for sharing that. Kennedy Washira, just to you, because I think we have exactly, basically talked about mental health and proceeding from just being as a person, you just have to, number one, endure everything. And I like the way that you put this conversation. Mental health, described it as, being able to equally express yourself. If feeling low, you can't be able to express yourself. If feeling sad, you question your emotions and ask yourself, this is how I'm feeling exactly. What has led me to feel this particular way? Because it's a solution oriented, and that is the conversation that you want to go. Kennedy, back to just to you one question. When it comes to our society, the society shapes how we think about different things. And I just want to touch this on the men's, mental health. How can male allies, basically these are fathers, brothers, uncle, create a culture where asking for help is a sign of strength and basically not a sign of shame? Over to you, Kennedy.
I think the who, I mean, they are not Gen Zs, probably were brought up in a different society, a different time. Step is for them to be able to allow themselves to unlearn and relearn, because from the time our parents grew up, it's quite totally different from our time now. Now we are more informed, we have access to information, and they didn't. And probably growing but they geared a lot to to our mental health. So in this time, the first thing what our allies could do is be accepting, be accommodating to the Gen Zs, to how to our thinking, to our perception of how things work, and to our perception on mental health. And then they be willing to unlearn and relearn things so that now they waende na mtaratara.
Yeah, quite a nice, opinion there from Kennedy Washira, ensuring that people are accepting how, the Gen Z think and, the different challenges. When you talk about challenges, it's way different. Whatever like the millennials face and what currently the Gen Zs are facing, even we speak about the political space and all this. Now, to dive deeper into the conversation, because a lot of things affect how, a man thinks. What are some of those different things that you can share with us, James? From your perspective, we have different challenges, we have struggles. What basically, if you can just pinpoint everything to a single perspective, exactly what are some of the challenges that men go through that it is very hard for them to share? If you can do this in 2 minutes, I will be really glad. Thank you. Over to you, James.
My observation on this is that we've not normalized this conversation, especially for men. If we can look maybe to the ladies, because I think this cuts across to ladies and even men. I'm surprised we don't have a lady in this conversation. We should. I think they're also Gen Zs and millennials in this part. They should be part of us. And that's why I say we not normalize talking, having this conversation as men. So you meet that you have financial constraints. You have, for me, I believe your mental health starts from your home or from your environment, the environment that you are in. That's where your mental health starts. If you have or for the Gen Zs, the space. Mostly they are not in the family, but the space that you are in, that's where your mental health starts. And the mental health, maybe they can just put it, it's just a positive state that allows you to thrive. In a nutshell, that's what I would describe that. And if you have that bad environment, like for me as a millennial, if my home is not at its best, if I'm leaving the environment that I'm in, I'll have to push that to my workspace, which is my office. That's why I'm saying that with mental health, especially for us, one is the space that we are in. I think we just narrow it down to the environment that we are in and just seeking out. Like the conversation that we have here is a very good conversation whereby we make it so ikuwe ni normal, ikuwe ni normal conversation. We just have to vibe, express ourselves. I have some shortcomings. Maybe if I come to Alex without expecting him judging me or even putting that aside, I'm able to talk and to speak myself out for him to hear what I have.
Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful, perception that we should be looking into. If I can just put the same question to Brahan, but also looking at, the fact that we have different, struggles as men, as, the different, generations, Gen X, Gen Zs, millennials. Do you feel the pressure to provide currently, or do you have different pressures? Because when you talk about, men's mental health, people will speak about, providing and say that you have to ensure that everything is going on fine. And probably because of that, what are some of the struggles as a young person, in addition to that, or even not, that you're currently going through? And how can you even identify if someone else is going through this same struggles?
Okay, yes, and just as James said, the different struggles that men might experience in terms of their mental health status might vary, especially depending. The challenges that a married man, for example, is facing is literally different from the challenges that a Gen Z might be facing. And maybe some of the challenges, using the examples that's happening into our country, we've got something like cyberbullying, okay? We've got the climate change stuff. We've got the economic uncertainty, whereby most of the Gen Zs are appearing jobless. Okay, but the way the society has shaped the men, it has shaped the men to be like, oh, the men are supposed to be the providers. They're supposed to be like the head, and they are not supposed to ask for help, for example. And now, when it comes to the situation in Kenya, for example, most of the Gen Zs, or rather most of the young generation, they are jobless. And now, when they are jobless, they might turn to do other evil things in the society. Let's say they might turn into drug abuse, they might turn into robbery. And that's why we find in situations like yesterday, when people were going to demonstrate, watu wako na ma-stress kwa akili, so other people might tend to misinterpret on the way they're supposed to express their freedom, and the way they're supposed to express what's burning them in their state of mind. So that's why you'll find that when it comes to cyberbullying, somebody has posted a tweet, somebody has tagged something that is attacking the young generation, attacking a certain tribe, attacking a certain religion. But because of the stress and the mental status of the health, unapata ana result into doing something differently. Why? Because utapata when they were young, ama when they were growing up, in case they had something, for example, a boy angeanguka chini, angeambiwa aje, Superman hafai kulia, like be a man, you need to man up, like deal with it, okay? But when it is a lady, for example, ameanguka chini, angeambiwa woi princess, don't worry, don't usilie sana nini, but the men tuliambiwa je, man up, like you are supposed to deal with it. So if we can replace those allies and affirm them with things like, okay, thank you so much for speaking up. For example, right now, if I might be facing some financial constraint and I go and tell James, hey, James, I have an issue. Can you maybe lend me some cash? Nini nini, nitumie some certain money for those who are still in campus. Nitumie pesa, maybe niende ninunue sapa nini nini. James can as well say, thank you so much, Hegi, for opening up, and thank you so much for trusting me with your challenge. If I'm facing, for example, it's something like a heartbreak or maybe some family torture, and I go and ask, hey, Alex, niaje poa. Mi pia niko na shida fulani, unaweza nisaidia hivi na hivi. So you see, in case, instead of you telling me, oh, Hegi, hizo mashida zako, we ni mwanaume kaa ngumu, you replace it now with, I'm proud of you, thanks so much, and it also takes real courage for a man to come and speak up. So yes, thank you. Oburu, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Two points that are coming out strongly is, as a Gen Z, someone is probably struggling with unemployment, which is the first thing, and equally relationships, because I think the two actually intertwine at some point. And I'd like to throw someone under the bus as always, throw Ashira into the bus and ask him, as a Gen Z exactly, how should you be able to, number one, look for opportunities, because unemployment actually, you know, will corner someone to this particular point where they'll start and do things that, are not even good at the same time. So if Kennedy Washira can share his own experience, or probably like a bit of advice in terms of employment and equally relationships. But before we just get to Kennedy, as he's pondering about that, we are also joined by a lot of people from Facebook, because we're also live on Facebook. As it's mentioned here, please continue sharing your different opinions on the same thing. We are having Stephen Omondi. Thank you so much for joining. We are having Saliwan Jambi. Thank you so much. Zaitun, Iraya Brian. Thank you so much. Stephen Omondi. And Iraya just left a note and said, a mentally healthy man is not about being perfect or emotionless. It's about balance, self-awareness, and growth. Thank you so much, Iraya, for that particular opinion there. Thank you so much. You can also see it on your screen. We are having Sally saying, NairoBits Trust, one who is able to speak up, be vulnerable about where he is at in life, especially with his struggles and pains. Thank you so much for sharing that. We continue to share your messages here. We'll be reading them on the screen. Keep sending the messages. Over to you, Washira. As I mentioned earlier on, how do young people, basically find solutions when it comes to unemployment and equally relationship?
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex. That's a really tricky one because kama tu unajua, I think it was last year our deputy president alituambia Kenya hakuna kazi. So yeah, but anyway, to tackle that, I'd say I'd approach this in the sense that since we are talking about men and mental health, is the discussion that Hagi and James also brought up, that responsibility, societal pressure to provide and all that weighs a lot on men. And then now you bring in the aspect of hakuna kazi, then kabisa, it becomes overwhelming, it becomes stressing. So one thing I would say is men should get a balance between responsibility, and self growth. Don't focus too much on responsibility alafu ujisahau. Pia wewe jipende, as we say, right? So with so mental health basically, but also invest in your network. There's this overused statement that your network is your net worth, which might be true. So invest in really good networks, relationships that, from the networks then comes opportunities. But also with opportunities, you need to be prepared. So also invest in yourself, invest in skills, tangible skills that, you can also have something to offer. So that when the opportunity presents itself, you are ready to take on that and to take up that opportunity. When it comes to relationships, manze, also be, be cognizant and be very careful with whoever you choose, and this is in the aspect of romantic relationship, because the partner you choose atachangia sana the state of your mental health. So majamaa pia tusiende tu kila mahali, we calm down, invest in ourselves, and then also once we do that, then we can be able to invest in other people, and we'll be more prepared to take up any responsibility that comes our way. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kennedy. I think you've mentioned a couple of points that are really important that I have to re-echo. Number one is the fact that you also need to invest in yourself as a young person. Take that course. Attend that particular. If it's a university, if it's a college, any place, if it's apprenticeship where you just go and ask James, you're really good at this. I want to learn. I want to work with you and learn how to be able to have this particular skill. Kindly invest in yourself. The next thing that Washira said is when it comes to you as a young person, you also need to ensure that the people that you work around with, or rather the people that you spend much more time with, are people of high value. We are not saying that you go and scout for billionaires so that you can be able to have billionaire friends, but people who have a mission, people who are well focused in life. They will be able to source for opportunities and they can share. That is how we even break the the chain of poverty, the chain of joblessness, and all that. As we also go back to our different audiences here in Facebook Live, I think there's a question here, but we are still waiting for people to reply to that. I think, James, you have been quiet for quite some time, so we also want to tap into your really rich experience for men, probably. I think when you speak about Washira and Heigi, it's more of the Gen Z's perspective of it, and this being June, which is men's mental health awareness month. Exactly from where you sit and the experience you've had up to this particular point, Kennedy has given his perspective when it comes to joblessness and equally relationships. What are some of the advice that you can give young people in those two categories? What are some of the things they should be able to also consider? James, you're on mute. Kindly unmute. Thank you.
It's okay now. Yeah, there's something that Washira said, which is something very, I would say, lovable. Because I always say, I'm always bashed by saying this, but it's a fact. Love yourself first. Jipende. Na uzoee kujipenda. It's not being selfish, but it's something that is very critical, because once you love yourself, you're able to love even your friend. I think even in the Bible, it's there's somewhere that stated like jipende uweze kupenda wenzako. So that's one critical thing, because the moment you appreciate yourself is the moment that you start even doing good to help others. So with the jobs, I think we have, at, I will be different kidogo from the Gen Z in terms of work, because like in our ages, voluntary work was more of a vibe than currently. So hizi unaambia Gen Z akupatie job ama umpatie job, anakwambia kwanza what's my cut. That comes in the mind. The first thing that they will be looking for ni hakuna kazi ya bure. Yet in our times, I think we used to do more voluntary work. Ungeenda mahali, you start as an intern, you're not looking even for that pay. I know, I understand right now the Gen Z will say that I need transport, I need all that, but maybe some have been even housed by their parents, but they still want that additional money for whatever reason, which is good. But again, you don't have to showcase you don't have an opportunity to showcase what you are good at. And in such environments is where you go and you introduce yourself. You actually sell your skills. Maybe you've been given some piece of work as an administrator, yet umesomea some fancy degree but wewe unataka kuoneshana mimi siko I'm not yet fit to be an admin or a office person. Wanaitangoje wale watu wa pale mbele. You don't want to be that person because you have a higher learning. Yet that conversation is where you meet that social network that Yoshiro was talking. Utapata the client who is coming to that organization, you've sold your idea, you've sold your skill, and they have identified you. So unakuta Gen Z hataki mahali anataka what I studied in campus, that's what I have to go through. And nini hiyo itakuramba, wacha niseme ibash kidogo the Gen Z, hiyo itakuramba at some point. But the moment that you I call it self branding, let people know what you do, let people know what you are capable of doing regardless of the place that you are in. Unaenda pale mjango, unaongea na vijana pale hivyo, definitely there's a manager who is there. Mwambie by the way records zinaweza weka. Mimi nilifanya accounting by the way. Kesho utapatiwa simiti. Kesho utapatiwa job hiyo ya kuweka the records na kuanza kulipa wase. And that's how you start advancing your career and even your network. Otherwise ukienda pale ukiwa na fixed mind that I have to study because I was in this platform, I was in this university. I had some characters who are like that, and they are still hunting for jobs. Yet they are guys. I will give an example myself. In our class, in our campus class, kila mtu venye tulimaliza campus, I think we were, I think 40 or 45 students. Wote walipata job. Actually watu walikuwa wakipata job kwa banks and all that and all that. Mimi nikijaribu kuapply, I get yes nini, but rejected. And I sat down, I was about to give up. But just something came in mind and I said, why don't I just sell what I have in mind? And with time, I started loving maybe sales and marketing, and I used to hate the name even sales and marketing. Actually, I used to hate until I had the late Kirubi said he introduced himself as a salesperson, and that's why nikajiangalia nikashindwa, this is a billionaire, yet he is a salesperson, and that's why I started loving even the art of selling. And to date, I think I'm in love with selling, and that's why I'm in the ICT industry and selling big. I will sell to you anything. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. As we also go on, a couple of people who are joining us from, the Facebook Live, we are having, yeah, Sylvester Olosh. Thank you so much. It's saying, watching from Kisumu, Dala, we really appreciate. Please share with your friends. We are all about ensuring that everyone is mentally okay. Another person just asked an interesting question. This is Uriah Bryan, who asked a question that I'll also try and push it to Kennedy Washira, and also Higi, you can also try and answer this. He asked, how can one try and invest in himself? And probably he or she is the firstborn in a family of no parents. Manze hiyo pressure huwa ngori. So thank you so much, Iraya, for this. Because when it comes to young people, sometimes we have different struggles, and also addressing the fact that, the culture we are in expect a young person, probably even if you're the firstborn, to handle all the bills when it comes to a family. Probably if the parent is not there, the parent is also not equally capable of doing that. If you can just start with Higgy, probably what are some of the advice that you can give to Brian, and how can he be able to handle such a situation?
Okay, thank you so much, Iraya Brian, for that amazing question. Brayo, as I can call you, Brayo. First thing first, it is okay to feel that pressure, and we really acknowledge you saying that, of course, you feel the pressure as the firstborn family. But as we said earlier, the first thing, yes, your parents maybe are not in a position to help you, as well as the relatives enyewe. We marela naye ukuanga ngori saa zingine, that is something I can say for sure. But God has not limited you. If you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, God has not limited you to your parents or your relatives. First step is you being emotionally active, and by you being emotionally active is that you will say, "Nyewe, I'm the firstborn. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that, and I feel the pressure." Now, as you have done that, try and look out for a mentor. Okay, so fine, look out to what interest you have. For example, if you are a nurse, for example, there are a lot of people who are doing very, very well in the medical field. If you're a teacher, there are a lot of people who are doing very well in the educational sector, isn't it? But now, but the fact that umekubali like unafilio pressure as the firstborn, tafuta mentor number one. Si lazima ikuwe like ni mtu mwenye ameexcel, ni mtu mwenye ako kwa government, ni mtu mwenye anaweza kukupatia job, but you are not the only firstborn in this Kenya, for example, and neither are you the first person to feel that pressure. Watu wengi sana wamefeel your pressure, and by you coming out strong, for example, and speaking up, it really takes a real man to do that. Na ukitafuta somebody who has excelled in that sector, for example, let me use Washira for example. Ambia Washira ni aje, mi niko na passion ya kukuwa mwalimu na nimeona wewe pia umekuwa mwalimu, umepitia kwa hii sector. How did you maneuver around it? Okay, na ukitafuta for example various platforms in which you can express yourself, kama hizo ma TikTok nini nini, that is how you brand yourself. Umesema how can one try and invest in himself, exactly. So ukishakuwa na mentor, the mentor is going to tell you, you know what, Brayo, unafanya hii vizuri, you know what Brayo, acha kufanya hii, you know what Brayo, look for this. And as if you are keen on what James was saying, if you like make people aware of what you are doing, si lazima ukuwa unalipwa pesa for now, it can be voluntary, but with time itakuja kujilipa baadaye. So as you brand yourself, as you let the community know what you're doing, as maybe you post on your social media platforms, because watu wengi wanasimanga social media ni mbaya, but personally I don't think that's true. You can use these social media platforms to advertise yourself, to brand yourself, to make people know aware of what you're doing. And if I have a mentor who is going to tell me, "Nyewe Hegi, what you're doing is good, do this," you will make it. Si lazima itoke kwa relative wako ama nini. So just open up, get a mentor, you're good to go. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can just push the same question to Kennedy. Exactly, what's your take on this?
Yes, thank you Raya for the question. Unasema pressure huangori. True. Si rahisi. Especially with your question having no parents and all. I think it will depend on your view of investing in yourself, right? One way of investing in yourself, as James and also Hegi have mentioned, is branding. Putting yourself out there. We are fortunate enough to be in a day and putting yourself out there is as simple as going in front of your phone camera, uh, taking a small video and then uploading it online. Now, take a very little resources to do that. So one is understanding what you're good at, as my previous speakers have mentioned, and then knowing unajuaje this content or this information definitely has an audience out there. And if I put myself out there, uh, then I'll have exposure, and with exposure and with time, vile tu tunasema, there are people that need that information or whatever you have to offer, and believe me, you will find your audience, and things will work out eventually. uh, because kama when you first born, probably you're taking care of your siblings, you have to go to work. Now I understand, like, doing courses might not be feasible at the moment, because you are strained of time. But again, develop your communication skills, vitu kama hizo, you don't need a lot of time. You just need to be open enough, interact with people, and pick things from the people that you admire, as Higgy mentioned, your role models. Pick and learn from people, and then with time you'll be better yourself. Think it will happen overnight. It takes time. Just have a goal, a clear goal, and then break it into chunks, and then break those one by one, as we say.
Yeah, thank you, Kennedy, for that. If we can just give like my own opinion, summarizing everything. So, Brian, thank you so much for also that question. What you can do, because I clearly understand that there's nothing new under the sun, completely nothing new under the sun. So, any situation that you're currently in, there's probably someone who has gone through that particular situation and they have maneuvered. Even if you are currently unemployed, there was someone who was unemployed and they worked their way through the particular problem and they had a solution. So if you can just find mentors in the current, challenge you are, you can find a firstborn who has the same experience as you, or probably had the same experience as you, or the same problem, then you can be able to, go through and ensure that you break through that. We're also having a lot of people sharing different messages and also like word of encouragement. We're having Sally Wanjambi saying that by learning that being vulnerable is not a weakness, I think we should start by encouraging our men to open up, and through this, they will be able to impact the same way others they encounter. Thank you so much for that. The other question that was asked on our Facebook page was, "What is one of the actions that you will take after today's session?" And people were sharing. The same Uriah Brian, who's very active on this. Thank you so much, Brian. He said by encouraging open conversation, listening without judgment, and affirming the needs is human, not a weakness. We can shift the mindset for the next generation. It starts with a small, consistent action that tells boys and men you don't have to carry it alone. Thank you so much. We are also having another person, Ben Kim. Thank you for sharing that. It is basically you've shared at followers. I don't know what you mean by that, but thank you so much. We're also having Keishi. This is Keishi Mudui. I hope I didn't butcher your name. You're saying a very insightful conversation from our men here. So everyone who's participating, remember this is a conversation for everyone. We like your different opinions here and there, and together we can be able to change, the entire um, facade, or rather like the entire mass when it comes to mental health. Just one question that I'm gonna pose to everyone: if you can just look back into your life, exactly when was the last time that you had like a mental breakdown, and how did you even deal with it? If you can just look back into your own life, probably, when was the last time you had like a mental breakdown, and how did you even deal with that? Same to the people who are following us on social media, on Facebook. Kindly share your comments on that. We'll be able to read it out loud. Let me start with Kennedy Washira. In 1 minute or so, when was the last time you had like a mental breakdown, and how did you manage it?
Yeah, very personal one. Yeah, not so long ago, not so long ago, and I mean it happens more so often than not. But what personally I do is again I have a strong network of people that I'm close with, friends that you can have this conversation with. But also what helps take things seriously. I am one person that you know I let everything out through joking, making fun, banter. So you just I would advise getting or identifying something that calms you, makes you feel relaxed, and make it a practice. That every time you have a breakdown or about to have a breakdown, go to that safe space, go do that thing that you know calms you, and again, invest in really strong networks.
Thank you so much for that, and just taking this chance to be vulnerable with people and sharing a moment when you're down. If you can just have the same question to Hiki, probably just share when was the last time you had like a mental breakdown, however big or however small, in a minute, and how did you even basically deal with it?
Well, thank you. The last time I had a mental breakdown, to be honest, I think it was while I was in campus. The second year, yeah, while I was in second year, I rarely experience mental breakdown, by the way, because I'm one person who is very, very open. Nikiwa na shida, I will communicate and I will ask people, I will ask God, I will ask God, of course, I will ask God, different mentors on how to maneuver around that. Well, I think it was second year while I was still in campus, and it was something to do with the academic pressure. I mean, it was getting so much, and you'll be like, oh my God, now what do you do? Like, how do you maneuver around this? Nini, nini? And to answer the second part, how I managed to go through it, yes, I remember I had somebody who once studied the course that I was taking, that is IR. So I reached out to his inbox and I told him, this is what I'm experiencing. And one thing he told me, he didn't tell me to man up. He told me very well, Hegi. Actually, it's just by the level of synchronicity in that. Well, I was also at second year. It's when the pressure was so much, and I also needed somebody to lean on. And yes, I appreciate Hegi for reaching out. So we shared. And the third part of the question is, how do I handle that? I basically like just ensure you're distracted, because the moment you're feeling idle is now when you start thinking of a lot of things. Unaanza kuoverthink, unaanza kujiuliza maswali, everything is just irritating you. Hata utapata msee anatembea kwa barabara hajakufanyia kitu, but unasikia tu like amekuboo nini nini. So but if you distract yourself, maybe if you listen to music, so the thing is, find what find what is going to distract you, basically what you like doing when you're free. For me, I like gallivanting a lot, so I will travel, I will look for friends, we will share memories. For others, reading novels works for them. For others, listening to music as well. But the first thing is, acknowledge first, be emotionally present, that if you're happy, you're happy, if you're joyful, you're joyful, if you're sorrowful, you're sorrowful. Then after you've acknowledged yourself, now look for somebody who has also been to that space. So kama ni academics, kuwa na mtu mwenye unaweza consult kwa academics. Kama ni mambo ya relationship, tafuta mse unaweza consult kwa relationship. Kama ni mambo na academic pressure, tafuta mtu wa academic pressure. Then the second thing, just look for what you do that is going to distract yourself. Kama ni watch movies, kama ni watch animation, just proceed with it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. We can also go to James. When was the last time you had like a mental breakdown? And also Higgy, thank you so much for that wonderful, opinion there on how people can be able to even speak to people who have gone through the same problem and they can seek answers. I think currently on the Facebook side, we're having Olingo Maxwell joining us and saying, Kazi Safi with words of wisdom. Well done. Thank you so much, Max, for that. I think we'll now push it to James. Exactly. What's your experience on this?
For me, and the mental, it's a challenge. It's a daily challenge for me, especially in business. But I start way back from my college, not college life, it's secondary life. I really hated high school. And because have you ever been a last student for the 4 years of your lifetime? Form one, form two, form three, form four. Until you wonder, it's a story that I always share, but it's a long one. We don't have that time here, but I always have, I always speak it out. And the more you speak it out, the more you hear. And the more you share, the more you listen to other people's stories, you understand they have also gone through other difficult situations than yourself. So, like for me, the high school thing was a really bad thing for me, very rewinding. And then I was in a school where guys had guys were small, and myself I had beards. These beards, they are from one. So I used to think I'm the eldest in the class and all that. Until I went to campus, and then I met guys with bigger beards, uh, elder people, old guys, and all that. And you start to realize that you are not alone in that situation. And when you speak out, then it becomes easy for you. Then when you come to business, you encounter the mental challenges on a daily basis, especially when you are trying to maneuver, when you are trying to close deals, when you have some goods that have not been maybe delivered and all that. You understand the business nature. So it's for us. It's always it's like a daily. It's more of a daily thing, and you have to fight it. And by that, what you do is that you understand patience, which is actually so undermined. And especially for the Gen Zs, I think that is something that is lacking with the Gen Zs. The term patience, I think it's not. current Gen Zs, I think it's a word that it's not in their brains. I don't know. I'm sorry to say so. Maybe they'll defend themselves. And you just understand there is no microwave success. It's a process, and you have to understand how it works. It's a process, and you have to be in it. And one thing that has put me moving forward is that there's a saying that goes that I may not know the I may not know the sure way of success, but the sure way of failure is to try and please everyone. You can never please everyone. You have to love yourself, as I should have said. You just have to love yourself. And for me, what I do is that I engage so much in workouts. I do a lot of workouts. I share a lot overly socially. I'm social to so many people, and I think that helps. And above all, prayer works miracles, especially for, I will say, for us millennials. I don't know what is the Gen Zs, but for us, we are all told that take your burdens to God, and you will see things changing. So patience, love yourself, and just know that it's a process also for success. And don't try to impress everyone. I think that's what I would say. Don't try to impress everyone. What you can do what you can. And then for the Gen Zs, actually, this comparison, especially in the social media, there is you want to compare yourself to Alex. Alex has done one, two, three things, and you start living beyond your means. I think for me, if I don't have it, and if I can survive without that thing, then uh, I live by it. I don't have to be like Alex. I don't have to be. I just have to be me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Wonderful, wonderful opinions coming from every single person. If you can just also summarize that up. I love that you spoke about accepting where you are in life, and if you cannot do with something, or rather, if you do not really, really need it, do not go through different measures to ensure that you get that thing. It's also about acceptance in terms of the financial, your financial capability as a young person. You can't say that in the next 3 months you need like a brand new, let's say Mazda CX-5, and you have to get it, and you know that you're not employed, or probably you don't have any other means of getting money into that. Thank you for sharing that. As we wind up, because probably it was a 1 hour conversation, and I'm really, really sure that we cannot be able to exhaust every single thing when it comes to men's mental health. This is only the beginning. We'll be having follow-up, sessions with you guys so that we can also partake on this particular conversation. Just one person, one nini that I'll share to Washira to ask in 30 seconds or so. Exactly, as someone probably who's employed, how do you even deal with work pressure? Because I clearly understand that also work in itself, as much as finding work can be work, even when you find work, also there's work that you also have to balance between, your personal life, your work, and how do you even ensure that you're mentally stable at the end of the day?
Yes, work pressure. I think first thing is first is and I like what James said is being content with where you are at with life. I think this can be the said. This can be the same with work. I know we all have these great ambitions and these great ideas of who you want to be or who you wanted to be when we were young, and probably 90% of us we're not there yet because one thing or the other, and now we find ourselves in positions or in work that si yenye tulikuwa tunataka or what we are hoping for the future, but you are there now. Appreciate and love now. Have contempt. Once you do that, pressure si ati itakuwa, but it reduces, right? Another thing is, I know people also talk about your workmates are not your friends. Just because they're not your friends does not necessarily mean you can't have, friendly conversations with them. They are human, just like you are. They struggle just you are like you are struggling, and by talking things out, you might find relief, and you might find relief from the person that sits next to you. And guess what? You're not always sitting next to your brother. It might be that workmate that you're trying to avoid and saying is not your friend. So be content, be positive, have positive energy, YOLO. And positive energy attracts positive energy. Na hapo ndo network and connections, you never know that huyo your colleague, your boss, your supervisor, hata kama anakupea workload inakaaje, might just have the answer to what is stressing you out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Oshira, for that, for just handling that. I think we had also asked people on Facebook when was the last time like they had a breakdown, and of course, currently someone has just shared that this is also the Iraya brand. I think at this point you should also be giving you your flowers. For me, the last breakdown ni hii time mashida zilijaa home hadi madhe akaenda course kwa kani saa ya ule jamaa kwa kanisa ya ule jamaa. So probably I didn't get that. He meant like uh, madhe alienda kwa kanisa ya ule jamaa. I'm not really sure exactly, but thank you so much for just trying to open up. We understand people have different struggles and all that, but nonetheless, as we wind up this particular conversation, just in a minute, in 1 minute, I want everyone to just speak about how do we identify someone who's dealing with mental health issues. We have spoken about our different experiences, and I'm sure at a one point or the other, there was someone who came to you, or you observed this person and you're like, probably, Washira is dealing with mental health problems, or Branhan is dealing with this particular issue, and I might be able to assist. So, how do we even identify what are some of the characteristics that you can say this person needs help? We can start with you, James.
I've dealt with the Gen Zs at my workplace, and the simple things that you see. Wameenda rave, kidogo kidogo, the guys are drunkards. Yet this guy was not even a drunkard and stuff like that. Narrow down what the problem is, issues ni sema tu the space, the environment yenye yuko. Gen Zs wanapigwa character sana na their loved ones. So unakuta a small issue ya relationship, it has built build up imekuwa ni something so big, and unakuta wengine pia reserve, guys are just silent, they don't speak. Ukienda kuuliza shida ni gani, unakuta sasa jamaa ndiye ashakwambia. I think the work that the job description that I have does not match with my education and stuff like that. So, hizi ni vitu wamejiekea, so unakuta they start withdrawing, and with time unakuta there's a problem. But if we normalize to have a discussion like this, even at the workplace, I always tell them, just normalize. Ukija uniambie I have this problem, I need to change this. I have a problem with my Klande or my boy or stuff like that. For us, I think we are now past that. I don't say that millennials don't have the same challenges, but again, if you have lived the years that you've lived, the few years that you've lived, then you understand that these are challenges that can be aired and shared, and break, and we slice them, tunazipackage na tunasonga. Bottom line, jipende.
Yeah, quite interesting. We are checking on withdrawal. If people withdraw from certain things that they were doing before, that is something that you can also spot. Let me go to Washira in 1 minute or so. Exactly what are some of the characteristics that you can, or rather behaviors that you can just spot and say this person is probably dealing with a mental health problem, and probably, however small it can be, we need to also assist this person.
Yes, I think there's two ways to look at that question. One, depends on the nature of the relationship you have with someone. If nimse mko close sana, it might be very easy to identify or to kuona that they are going through something, because you know the characteristics of the person, you know their personality. So the moment they're out of character, you might get the lights on za there's something that is happening, jamaa yuko sawa. But if someone that you're not well conversant with, I think most of the time, ukiona ana behave like ako down, hataki kubonga sana, you might assume ni mental health. But again, mental assumptions. So the best thing you can do is simply ask, be kind, ask with the intention of listening, see to unaiza, and give that, offer that safe space for someone to be open with you. Then sasa uta assume anymore.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Kennedy Washira. Over to you, Hige.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to answer your question real quick, there are many ways in which you can identify someone if he or she is undergoing mental breakdown, especially with the young generation. Number one, utaona there are some emotional changes. For example, if Hegi is ever happy person, then all of a sudden Hegi is just like angry. Hegi is just like irritated with everything. At one point Hegi is smiling, at the other point Hegi is just angry. So utajua like Hegi is definitely undergoing a mental breakdown ama a mental challenge. Na ukiangalia pia mood swings, because you'll find even when it comes to making a judgment ama to making decision, mtu anafanya na ma mood swings mingi sana. So you are like, ai, ni nini mbaya na huyu mse, unaona? Then another thing, especially with the young generation, is withdrawal. Because if you are experiencing some mental health ama some mental breakdown, uta feel like, am I even really in the right place? So if it's a birthday party, for example, utaona mtu amekaa kwa corner, like he doesn't want to interact ama to associate with self with others. Then another thing pia you can as well identify ni changes in some behaviors. So hapa kwa changes in some behavior, utaona like this person, obviously kama ni mtu anachapa gym, utajua, let me use James for example because he's a good friend of mine. James works out, James anaenda gym. So unajua mtu mwenye anaenda gym unafaa ukule fiti, unaona? So all of a suddenly James hakuli, unashangaa ni nini mbaya. Then if it's somebody who likes sleeping a lot, utashangaa, huyu mtu amelala sana mpaka nitemenye anafaa kuamka kwenda job but amelala sana, like what's up, unaona? So such kind of changes in behavior. Then another thing is maybe some unusual thoughts. So you'll find if it's somebody who is like sober in mind, all of a suddenly anaanza kuwa na suicidal thoughts, like, hey, by the way, I need to take this thing. Maybe you start abusing drugs, maybe you go and harm somebody as a way of expressing your anger, if it's a heartbreak, something like that, unaona? Then we can also think of ingine inaitwaje, risky behaviors. So kama ni mtu risky behaviors, that's why now you find people are doing something that they are not used to doing. So unaona kama mtu anaenda anaiba, ama ni kama ni mtu anaenda like ana molest a young person, if it's a young child, nini, and this is somebody who is just sober, then all of a suddenly ameenda amemolest watu. Then in our society now, this is where somebody comes and start practicing the gender-based violence. So unapata huyu ni mtu ametoka job, ako na ma-stress mingi, ndipo unakuja unasikia amechapa bibi yake. Wanaume pia siku hizi wanachapwa by the way, na huyu mwanaume juu anachapwa, society inasema ukienda hiyo place yako kwa center useme tunachapwa na bibi yako, utafanya nini? Utachekelewa, unaona? So such kind of behaviors utajua tu definitely this person is undergoing. Let me just use an example. There was a time when I was a kid, I think nilikuwa grade 1 ama grade 2. Yes, I used to see a certain person who was just normal, but ikifika hapo mausiku anarudi anaanza kujiongelesha. You see, now and I asked my elder sister and I asked her, by the way, ni nini mbona huyu mtu anashidanga akijiongelesha peke yake? And you know what she told me, aliniambia usijali, hata wewe kwenye utakuwa mkubwa utaelewa ni mbona anajiongelesha hivyo peke yake. So you see such kind of unusual behaviors, utajua tu definitely hapa there is something. Yes, thank you Oburu.
Yeah, I think I really like that, and it made me think about people saying, unakumbuka when your dad used to just sit separately and you will think, probably when you also get older, it will make a lot of sense. And these are some of the things that have been shared. Thank you so much for sharing that. But we also asked people on Facebook, exactly, how do you identify a friend or a loved one who's dealing with mental health issues? Probably we have, of course, Uriah Brand. Of course, again, Uriah was speaking about they might start missing responsibilities. That is number one. The second thing is, they can also isolate themselves or even or seem overwhelming by simple tasks. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think Kennedy W. Lokuche was asking Uriah Brand. Uriah Brand, kanisa ilisaidia. So probably alluding to the last question that Brian asked. The next question that we asked on our Facebook was, are you also intentional about maintaining your mental health? And how are you building resilience for tough times? So probably, yeah, that is also something that we're looking at answering. But I'm looking at also one person called Ngai Simon, who was sharing the previous question that we said. How do we even spot someone is, going through different or tough times, and we have to probably look for help. And Simon is saying sometimes people might write or post concerning things online. Of course, you might see a very good friend of yours is saying, I'm feeling suicidal. That is already a red flag that you need to look for people who can also be able to assist this person if you cannot be able to do that. We have spoken about how can we spot, people who are going through challenges. It can be mental health, it can be a struggle. We have spoken about, being able to isolate themselves, from being able to isolate themselves from to a couple of things, like example, I think Higi amesema hadi kujiongelesha. We have a couple of things that we've spoken about. So because on the interest of time, I see we have already passed the hour mark in 30 seconds. Then what do we do? If you spot someone is going through this problem, withdrawal, not communicating, change in behavior, probably drastic mood swings, then how do we do, or rather, what do we do? We can start with Higi, then we'll go to Washira, then James.
Okay, yes. The first part of the question is yes. I'm interested in maintaining my mental health, and the second part is how. Just quickly, one is through being by being emotionally present. So by being emotionally present, I mean, if I'm joyful, I'm joyful. If I am sad, I am sad, and I know I don't need to fake my sadness to make other people happy. And if I'm feeling fearful, I am feeling fearful, and I can express my fear, and I let people know that I am feeling fear. And if I am upset, because it's the nature of men to get angry, I am angry. So just being myself and being emotionally conscious is the first step. Then the second step is asking for help. And as I was telling Brayo, asking for help is that you look for a mentor, because chenye umepitia, you are not the first person who is going through that situation. Actually, if you share your story with another person, yours actually si big deal, ya watu wengine it's even worse. So it's asking for help, whether it's coming from an older person or not. Always ask for help. As Hegi, mi hata kama ni mtu mwenye nimemshinda na miaka, nitamuuliza tu swali, and I will always give a listening ear, because kupatana na mtu, it is always intentional. There's a reason as to why you meet that person. Then the third one is also setting your boundaries and respecting others. Have your boundaries. Know that this is what you can do, this is what you can do. And everything that I do, I always tell my people, my friends, that in everything that you do, ensure you are conscious is guiding you. So if you want to do something, do it because Hegi wants to do it, not doing it because Alex ama Washira ameniambia nifanye. Just set your boundaries and respect other. Then the last one definitely is if somebody has uplifted me, then I can as well think of uplifting another person without discriminating. So kama ni mse mwenye amekuja ameniambia niko na shida fulani, so this is how we can promote the mental health. Kama ni mtu amekuja akaniambia yenyewe, hey, I have a problem this and this, there is no need of you discriminating that person. Hata kama hawezi msaidia, refer him to one person, something like that. And yeah, ukifanya hivyo, you'll be promoting the mental health. Yes, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Over to you, Ashira. Probably because we have mentioned a lot of things, and Higi, thank you so much for handling you as a person. How can you be able to keep yourself mentally well? Of course, we're speaking about mental wellness. Over to you, Washira. Exactly. The question is, how do we even support? We have people who might, post something online. I'm feeling suicidal, or some of the things that we've spoken about: drastic change in behavior, isolation, mood swings here and there. How do we then support this person?
We go back to the basics. The basics are, we are first human. So go, like, having emotional intelligence, being empathetic, being kind. That's the first step of being able to support anyone that is suffering from mental health issues. Also, make sure you are approachable, and also be approaching people, asking them how they are, getting to know, be intentional in knowing people and how they are doing. But also, as we approach people, also be cautious, because and be mindful on how you're approaching people, because then you don't want to trigger anyone. So that is what I would say, is creating that safe space to be approached, but also being emotionally intelligent enough to approach someone when you have an issue.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. James, to you, you've just seen your friend has posted, I'm suicidal. Then how do you handle that from that particular point? Kindly mute.
Yes, I think you're encouraged to share, and just be open. Don't be quick to judge. Just listen, and even the person who is also getting this information, you should also be in a position to open up and just share. You share what you have, listen, and I always say, see. You seek God's help to know what to take and what not to take, because not all advice is good advice. So I think you should also seek God's presence, and you understand on how you can receive that information. And then let's normalize as Kenyans and as human beings to share opportunities. If I really think, and I really think that I can help you, and you have a skill that I could be used, then I should be able to bring opportunities to you, or I should be able to train. Unajua Kenya sahizi kuna kitu inakula sana. You try to tend to be the only person who is with that knowledge. You don't want to share. Na unakuta you could help somebody, and even that person could be doing that thing better than yourself. So let us normalize to share opportunities. And then there is this thing that everyone is calling me time. Let's not abuse the me time. Yes, you could have your me time, but your me time could also be destructive to your own self. So normalize even to socialize and share. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this has been a really wonderful conversation from the moment we started up to this particular point that we got. Um, we actually would also like to thank everyone that has been joining us, or rather, have been also sharing the different comments on Facebook to our panelists. But before we just let them go, we also want to give everyone like 30 seconds. We understand this is also equally a platform where you can share what you do. If you need support in anything, people can be able to reach out to you. On the same note of ensuring that people get opportunities, that people get mentors, mentees to work with, I think it's also paramount for us to be able to share our information. So in 30 seconds or so, if you can give like your parting shots. Before we just dive into that, I think one message has just arrived and I'd just like to read it. Thank you so much, Mercy Wanjiku Masharia. Mercy is saying we need to create safe space and just be present, not to just listen. I would also encourage women to provide these spaces in our homes. Sio kila saa hakuna sukari, hakuna unga. We should also ask them how are they faring. Thank you so much, Lucy, for that. This is June, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Lucy is coming in with a very strong message for also women, calling them to join this conversation in regards to ensuring that our men are also like mentally, okay. Thank you so much for that. As we also, I think, yeah, we have King Petrelli joining us, saying amazing work. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And that's it. We leave it at that. I'd just like to give you a chance to equally do the same. So 30 seconds or less, your parting shots. It can be one thing that you're sure. If you just people can listen to you, one thing, share it, then give your parting shots. It can be, my name is so and so. This is what I do. You can buy from me here. We equally advocate for opportunities for young people. We'll start with Higgy, then we can move to James, then finally Kennedy, then we'll close it.
Okay, thank you, Alex. As I earlier said, I'm Heggy Branham. I'm young, I'm a Gen Z. I'm passionate in everything that I do, and I'm also very, very intentional. I'm as well reachable. The ones who can see my face. Sikai mtu mwenye ako na sura personal. I'm very, very friendly. As I said, I'm a youth advocate, and I advocate especially for gender equality. I'm in the SRHR space. Currently, I'm a robber with the CSA Kenya. So feel free to reach out. I'm sure the hosts are going to share out my numbers. I'm reachable in case you need a talk, in case you need advices. Just always share. And my parting shot is this: just ensure you build your resilience enough. Look for a mentor. What you're going through, it is okay to go through, and it shows the fact that you are a human being because you're going through the same thing. And it's not always about manning up and dealing with it, but it's about it's okay not to be okay. Just look for somebody to talk to, and it's going to be well. Thank you so much. Let us not end this conversation on mental health just on June, but it's something that we should be talking about it on a daily basis. So kama uko na shida, usingoje mpaka next year June, a time like right now. Always look for somebody to share. Kila kitu itakuwa sawa. To the young generation, be flexible, just as James was saying. Don't be stereotyped and don't fix your mind. So long as it's something that is going to give you the space to network, to build your connection, fit yourself there, and get the right mentors, na pole pole tutatoka poverty. Majob ziko, don't feel discouraged. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Over to you, James.
Yeah, James again, an entrepreneur in Westlands, selling laptops and also laptop parts and also repairing laptops here based in Westlands. And I'm also an open guy and approachable. And this conversation doesn't end here. Anytime you are free, you are welcome to us via Westlands. We come and engage as men, and we share what we have, and just normalize to talk as men, and just don't keep it to yourself. And I'll just go with the mantra that we had in high school. Faith brought us here. Humility will keep us going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Faith brought us here. Humility will keep us going. Thank you. That was James. So probably you can also equally connect with him. Laptops, every single thing when it comes to tech, he will also be able to assist with you. Over to you, Weshira. Where can we find you as you give you also your parting shots and what you do if you can hear us?
Yes. So my name is Kennedy Washira Lokche. I'm a creative in the multidisciplinary design space. You can find me, well, if you are live on Facebook, it's kennedy.lokuchei, or you can find me at the NairoBits premises where I work. The parting shot is, as men or as Gen Zs generally, we cannot afford to live in a fantasy or superstitious world where we let things be, we wait for karma, sijui ifanye nini. No, learn to air out your issues when you're wronged, address them there and then, because you cannot afford to carry around baggage with you. Also, you are not Superman. uh, you don't have all the answers, you don't know it all, you cannot do it all. uh, be receptive to help and be actively seek help, because again, no man is an island. Najua hiyo ni touche, but it's true. Na hata if you think you are an island, pia islands saa zingine who experience tsunamis, so you'll still need that lifeboat. And so create a community, learn to socialize with others, and yeah, seek out that lifeboat for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is James who was speaking. We're also joined by that is James Maina. We also joined by Higgy Branham. I was very sure that some point I might butcher your name, but it's actually good that I didn't. And also like Kennedy Washira, thank you so much for joining us and just accepting for having this conversation with us. I'm sure that you'll touch different lives here today, and now they have someone that they can even reach out to and have this conversation. As we mentioned earlier on, this conversation doesn't even end here. As always, my name is Alex Oburu. I am a life coach, MC, podcaster, event curator, and a creative storyteller. So in case you have business okay, please feel free to reach out as always. And until then, this conversation was brought to you by NairoBits Trust. Basically, and we're looking forward to you. So follow us across different social media channels. That is NairoBits Trust on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube, where we'll be posting like this conversation after it has gone live. We'll download it and post it there. Kindly let's continue having these conversations and saving a lot of people. Until then, we're looking forward to having you in our next different webinars and seminars, and also in-person conversation. Thank you so much for joining this. You do have a wonderful night.
Yeah. Good night. Mental health siku zombotote.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Good night.
James training.
Mm.